Snakedance continues this season's theme of bringing back villains from the past, with the return of the Mara from Kinder. But it works far better than Arc of Infinity did, as they've also brought back the writer Christopher Bailey to continue the theme of Tegan's possession from last season, making it an early attempt at the kind of character-driven story arc that modern Doctor Who companions get to have. We're still a few years away from getting proper character development in companions, but this is definitely a good step in the right direction. Tegan is once again the lead character. Right from the start, she's shown as being haunted by her possession by the Mara, and Janet Fielding seizes the opportunity to play her as troubled and distant, as well as regressing her to her childhood self when the Doctor hypnotises her. When they land on Medusa, the Doctor gives her a device to drown out the Mara's thoughts. People at the time might have thought it was a Walkman, but it's all in white and much smaller than a 1983 Walkman would have been. So to modernise, it looks like he gave her an iPod from the early 20th century. So it's a good example of the production team anticipating future technology. Medusa is one of the better realised planets in Doctor Who. The sets and costumes are dazzling, and the bazaar in particular feels full of life. The marketplace is just crammed with more extras than we've ever seen before. And the culture of the world is explored in much more detail than usual. Every exchange of dialogue is used to build up this coherent picture of this world where a whole tourist industry has grown up around the ancient legend of the Mara. The scene in the fortune teller's tent at the end of episode 1 is a definite high point. As soon as Tegan's iPod is taken away, you just know something bad's about to happen, and the tension just builds up until the crystal ball shatters and Tegan is once again possessed by the Mara. The cliffhangers for episode 2 and 3 are nowhere near as good, to be honest. But we do get to see a lot more of Tegan as the Mara this time round. In Kinder, she just passed on the Mara to Aris and then fell asleep. Here she does pass it on to Lon, but she also gets to keep it herself. And the two of them jointly channel the Mara in a seductive double act. "We noticed you from across the bar. We really like your vibe. Can we buy you a drink and initiate you into our cult?" The final confrontation is probably better than the one in Kinder. Certainly the model snake is much more detailed this time. And in the end, the Doctor destroys the crystal and the Mara is banished for good, leaving Tegan completely traumatised. This might have been a good point to write her out, but she continues for another year, and I don't think the Mara is mentioned again, at least until the Blu-ray trailer, which may or may not count. But Tegan has been established in the world of modern Doctor Who, so who knows, maybe we'll get a third and final Mara story in the near future. As for Nyssa and the Doctor, well, Nyssa finally gets a new costume. It looks absolutely hideous and none of it matches, but at least it's different. The Doctor is exasperated throughout, as his complaints about the Mara fall on deaf ears, and he just sounds like a complete lunatic. I have noticed that he has started to talk very fast in some scenes, which I thought was a characteristic of the newer Doctors. So it's possible that this is where David Tennant got the idea from. Martin Clunes as Lon is probably the biggest name in the guest cast. He's since gone on to be ubiquitous on British TV, with long-running roles in programmes such as Men Behaving Badly and Doc Martin. This was one of his first TV roles, and clips from it are often used to embarrass him in talk shows. Really, he acquits himself very well. He's the same age as Matthew Waterhouse, but vastly more talented, and he plays the part of a louche, bored aristocrat as if born to it. The costume he wears in part 4 is ridiculous though, so that's fair enough. The DVD has about 50 minutes of extras. Snake Charmer is a decent 24-minute making-of documentary, with the writer saying he had a better experience than he did writing Kinder, the designer talking about making the sets, and the director talking about how Peter Davison would have made a good director himself. And of course he went on to direct the Five-ish Doctors special for the 50th anniversary. There's 3 minutes of deleted scenes, which unusually give an extended version of the ending, where everybody thanks and apologises to the Doctor, but the original ending probably works better. 6 minutes of studio footage shows how they shot special effects such as the exploding crystal ball and the glowing tattoos, as well as extended scenes of the model snake vomiting out strawberry milkshake. A 14-minute clip from Saturday Superstore has Peter Davison talking about cricket with Mike Reid before they play a match in the studio. No doubt all the kids watching would have been thrilled. Finally, there's a 14-minute conversation between Rob Shaman and the writer Christopher Bailey, which I almost certainly missed the first time round, but is really good. Overall, it's another fine piece of work, maybe not quite as good as Kinder, but very close. I'll give it 8.5 out of 10. Next week, Mordrin Undead, Turlo's first story. I remember being quite confused when the character originally left, as I hadn't realised that he was meant to be an alien. So now I'll see if there was any mention of that in his first story, and I just wasn't paying attention. So subscribe to see what I make of that, and I'll see you next time.